Good evening, everyone, and welcome to class. Welcome back to class. It's been an awesome weekend. Today we have inclusion in politics, but before we go into the class proper, I would like to ask the party members, party escorts, to please ask their members to join the class so that we can get started properly. We are just 55 in class, and that's not a good number. So be given 5 minutes to do that so that everybody can join, so we can all enjoy this amazing class. So let's do that in 5 minutes. I'll be back, take the citation of the facilitator, and then we can begin the class properly. Thank you. All right, that's 5 minutes. Welcome back to class once again. Today we're going to be discussing inclusion in politics, women, youth, and persons with disabilities. And our facilitator for today is Adenike Oyetunde Lawal, the General Manager, Lagos State Office of Disability Affairs. I'll be taking a citation now. Let's listen attentively. Adenike Oyetunde Lawal is a lawyer, a qualified alternate dispute resolutor. She is a qualified human resource personnel, an emotional intelligence coach, and holds a diploma in special needs education. She has earned several certifications in understanding autism, Asperger's, and ADHD from the University of Derby. She was nominated for several media awards, winning some and getting other recognition on the job as a multimedia personality. In 2017, Adenike was a speaker at TEDx Bagada, Lagos, speaking on philanthropy and the role of empathy in the human society. Her passion, driving conversations around the plight of disability in Nigeria, led her to establishing the Amputees United initiative, a social group specifically for amputees. Her work has earned her several platforms, spanning from hosting events, moderating several sessions, and being part of many panels. She is confident, outspoken, and selfless. She was the senior special assistant to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on persons with disability. After seeing her commendable work as the SSA in December 2023, she was appointed as the General Manager, Lagos State Office of Disability Affairs, LASODA, where she is currently working on the rights of people with disability. The goalkeeper, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, using advocacy to push for and encourage the inclusion of persons living with disability in our country, Nigeria. Adenike is vocal about having an inclusive state and society. She fights for the rights of people with disabilities. She is an author of a self-titled memoir, Adenike. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our facilitator for today, Adenike Oyetunde Lawal. Oh, you have the floor, ma.
Yay! Okay, so let you see my face. Oh, what's going on? Good evening, everyone. My name is Adenike Oyetunde Lawal. I am taking this class, and I would like to thank the entire team at the Electoral College for this opportunity. I try my best not to miss this opportunity because it just keeps me I don't want to say grounded, but it just gives me adding my quota. So to Mr. Kungi and his entire team, to Miss Lisa, thank you for being patient, considerate, and we're here again. Good evening to all 109 participants, which includes myself, everyone on the call. I can see your messages in the chat, and I can also notice that you are signing in and indicating your political party affiliations. And I believe very strongly that it's one of the beauties of the Electoral College. The political awareness is very important. And I say, well done. Okay, so we are going to be talking about I'm going to put off my, do I need to turn off my video? Okay, let me not turn off my video so you can be seeing my beautiful face. I hope I don't hear my kids scream. They're both currently sleeping. I'll try to make the class as swift as possible because we have evening bath times about 6:30-ish. So I would love to, be done about that time. Again, thank you. I am currently working as the General Manager at Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs. And it's important to say that disability is not a job for me. Disability is life. And there's been so much that I have had to learn and unlearn, and I'm still relearning on the job, moving from SSA to general manager, both political appointees. However, one functions as the chief accounting officer of an MDA. The realities are very far apart. And then I have a better understanding of the goings on back end. So this evening, we're going to be talking about inclusion as it concerns three categories of people. I've been using the same slides since I started this, and I think that Miss Lisa, I would love for us to have it up again if you do not mind. I also sometimes would like a participatory class where I would ask, members to, take shots at responding to some of my questions. There are no wrong answers. If you follow the discourse, you realize that there are no wrong answers on this particular topic. But what it does is it exposes us to the variance of the beauty in the heads of many people, so we can see where your head is at over different subject matters. Oftentimes, when people hear inclusion, people think about it as a buzzword, because you will agree with me that in the last 4 or 5 years, and I think the US, the last election, and now DEI has taken an interesting um, trajectory. But to be honest with you, inclusion is just very simple. Inclusion, especially in our discourse, as it touches three categories of persons or groups of people: youths, women specifically, and persons with disabilities. You will see that inclusion is beyond necessary, especially for these categories of individuals. Um, Inclusion is, I always say that equity and equality make it very easy for us to talk about what inclusion means, and how one can understand what inclusion is. But I'd like to explain that the reality of it again is that oftentimes when you try to explain inclusion, you must start from a standpoint of what equality means and what equity means. And when you think equality, you just think, oh, we all have our equal rights, everybody is the same. Um, some people believe that in this part of the world, conversations like equality or inclusion should not come up, because when we think of inclusion, we think of the abroad people, especially when it comes to gender and race. But for our own realities, for instance, when we're talking about inclusion and um, holistically in the political space, these three categories are beyond paramount. If you take a quick journey on Google and you check what's it called? The population figures of women across the world, you will see that women have a very high population. Unfortunately, our population is not reflective in so many things. So at the end of this conversation, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to understand why it is important for these three categories to be taken into cognizance, why we would have a need to agree on why inclusion is necessary. We will define inclusion, women, youths, and PWDs. We would identify the barriers that impede their inclusions. I always like to keep that open, throw that open to the entire class. So please get prepared. I'll be asking us to give reasons, what identifiable points as to why we believe that certain barriers exist when it comes to women, youths, and persons with disability in the political space. And we'll try to look at it from the state level, the federal level, and who knows, maybe globally as is. So I was saying something earlier about inclusion and equity, and there is usually a picture that that comes to my mind. Sorry, I didn't add it. Miss Lisa, please put fire under me so that I can do this thing. My assistant was supposed to do it, laptop crashed. So when we talk equality, it means that every single category of these groups, right, are given the same level playing field, every single category. And then for equity, it means the individual characteristics of peculiarities of these groups is taken into consideration in ensuring that where they all start from, they can get the very best. Very simple point. It means equality. There are three people trying to watch a football match, and I love the Google picture. They're trying to watch a football match across a fence. So there's a full-grown adult, there's a teenager, and there's probably like a toddler of sorts. Of course, they're not on the same height, and of course, they are not the same height. So Equality simply means giving each one of these individuals, you know, like a ladder or a stool for them to stand on. Of course, the full-grown man would stand above the fence and watch. The teenager, most definitely. But guess what? The toddler will not see. Under that circumstance, we cannot say that the outcome will be the same for the three categories. However, with equity, it means that the grown adult is not given a platform to stand on. The teenager is given a platform to stand on just to ensure that they can see above the fence. And the toddler is given a platform which is higher than that of the teenager so that they can see above. Now, guess what happens at the end of the day? All three categories of groups of people can adequately watch across the fence the football match. That is why equality and equity are two distinct yet interchangeably used words or terms. And every time we talk about women, youths, and persons with disability, they always come up. Again, equality and equity are not the same. And because they are not the same, they emphasize the need for us to take into account that women, youths, and PWDs don't operate on the same level at all. So equality simply can be said that, this categories of individuals are given the same type of tools or resources. Meanwhile, equity means each category of or group of persons is provided with the tools that they need so that they can reach an agreed or equal outcome. Now, I say this for us to understand that we work in a very, very interesting space, especially for those of us who are Africans, Nigerians living in Nigeria. You will see that the realities differ from place to place. But generally, overall, women are at the end of so much. And oftentimes we see it play out even in the space of politics. Please go to the next slide. Now, when we talk about women, at least we know what a I was just about to make a funny joke here. We know what a biological woman by birth. Yes. Thankfully, we don't have all the theatrics that they are dealing with in the West when it comes to misgendering and gender. We have only man and woman. So for our context of our discourse and for the reality that we live in Nigeria, a woman is simply an adult female human. And as you know, the plural for woman is women. Plural for girl is girls, as the case is. Next slide, please. So that is what a woman is. When we want to talk about youths, the conversation of who a youth is, there was a lot of disparity at a certain point in time. But thankfully, when they say that there's a globally accepted terminology or definition, and that most geographical places have adapted it to their own realities. In Nigeria, for instance, a youth is between the ages of 18 and 35, and we have international treaties that we have also by ourselves subscribed to. That gives us that leverage. So we know oftentimes when they talk about youth in politics, youth in this, youth in that. Funny that I have to, well, not funny, sad that I have to actually say late President Muhammadu Buhari did something for the not too young to run. And what they did was, away from reducing the number of age, they also ensured that the qualification. They looked at the qualification. They also looked at the what's it called? The financial implication for different categories for persons who would like to run at the State House of Assembly elections, at the National Assembly, whether at the House of Representative level or the Senate, to run as governor, run as deputy governor, and so on. Somehow, our political office appointees do not have the age gap. So it means that my friend Orode Oduaha, for instance, is just turned 36, and she is the honorable commissioner in the state where she works. I know that the Oyo State speaker is also a young person. So it has differed. There's also another young man who used to be the commissioner for youth, Sheung, I can't remember his last name, also from Oyo State. These are young people. So from state to state, some governors have taken it upon themselves to, appoint young individuals to run different ministries, departments, and agencies of their choice. Now, according to the United Nations, as we can see, youth is best understood as a period of transition from dependency of childhood to adulthood independence, supposedly. My brothers and sisters, we know what the economy is saying when it comes to this definition. Note that the United Nations uses the term youth and young people interchangeably, and statistically, it means those between the ages of 15 to 25. However, member states define the age range according to their discretion, just like I had said. Next slide, please. Youth in Nigeria include citizens of, Nigeria 18 to 29, according to the policy, I beg your pardon, I keep saying new, according to youth policy. However, the African Youth Charter recognizes youth as persons between ages 15 to 35. For our discourse, like I said, they're not too young to run, which has become, a law of sorts, and different sections of the Nigerian Constitution that provide statutory age limits and requirements when it comes, in this discourse, actually, let me stick to the age limits for certain offices as the case is. Please go to the next slide. So we have spoken about, we have defined who a woman is or who women are, who qualifies as a youth, and now we are come to persons with disabilities. So persons with disabilities is a very interesting. I just remember that I was on a panel recently, and somehow some non-PWD person, just stood up to say that he doesn't like that term because everybody has an ability in a disability, or how did he say, there's ability in disability, and so he doesn't like using these PWDs, or because he doesn't believe everybody. In fact, he knows that everybody has a disability. Look at him, for instance, he cannot sing. It's a disability. Ah, I wanted to conk him. I won't even lie, but I had to respect myself for obvious reasons. Anyway, for discourse purposes, disability, as you may have suspected, is really complex. It's complex in its nature, complex in its application, complex in many things. And it just simply means that when you experience, it refers to the experience of a condition that makes it difficult for a person to do what how do I put it, certain activities, as the case is. Another arm of disabilities is when the society impedes accessibility in all ramifications. So you are shut off from that reality. Disability is not solely about an individual's medical condition, but also about the interaction between what they're experiencing, the condition they're experiencing, the environment they live, and the barrier that society sets. So a person who cannot see was born blind. That is the condition. The environment where they live, we have had to refer to them as legally blind because they are completely blind. And the societal barriers, they have no access. So all three, add up to disabilities. Now, disabilities and impairments, yeah, almost alike, slightly different, is why people often will say, oh, I don't have visual impairment, because of how it is used. Usage of terms like disabled, they are archaic. However, the context and the intention with which a word like that is used is very important. And sometimes its usage is actually permissible, as the case is. So don't let me get too deeply. So, but in Lagos State, for instance, PWDs successfully operate under these three headers. I beg your pardon, these headers called clusters. Please hold on. Okay, I'm just trying to find out why little human being is crying. Okay. So in Lagos State, for instance, they've been able to put themselves under these categories, and they are called clusters. So from persons with albinism to persons with physical and health disabilities to persons with neurological and intellectual disabilities, dwarfs, spinal cord injured persons, visually impaired persons, hearing impaired persons, persons affected by leprosy, deaf blind people as well, persons affected by leprosy as well. And it's very simple. Even non-invisible disabilities like and those will come under the neurological and intellectual, as the case is. Now, the WHO talks about the numbers, and I will promise you that there's a lot of back-end work when it comes to getting as close to accurate as possible numbers or figures when it comes to PWDs. Nationally, that is in Nigeria, the National Commission of Persons with Disability, and even as a state. So I'm hopeful that sometime very soon I'll be able to sit, in one of these classes to say, in Lagos State, we have an estimated, but holistically, and these are the figures that in fact, the figures have increased to 35. Because the interesting thing about disability is there's no decline. It is increasing. More people are losing sight. More people are getting involved in road traffic accidents. More people are born with albinism. More people are born and they're dwarfs. More people are, you understand the point I'm trying to make. But thankfully, I know that, late President Buhari did something that no matter what he said and done, for those of us in this space, we would always remember this particular one, that he was able to sign the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act. And we're here, basically. So now I have been able to define clearly these three categories of individuals to the best of my knowledge, and I'm hopeful that we don't have any objections in any of those places. But like I said earlier, whilst I was talking about the course outline, I want to open the phone lines, and I will just give maybe about, since we have three categories of people, so 2 persons per category, 2 persons to tackle the youth, 2 persons to tackle women, 2 persons to tackle PWDs. In your opinion, what are the barriers that impede the increased number of these categories of individuals in politicking and politics generally? It would be great if maybe the first 2 people say youth, then the next third and fourth persons can say, so that we can keep it going. And I would really love to have your names as well. You can actually introduce yourself. There was a part I was going to mention that oftentimes when there is a visual recording, I apologize, I should have done that earlier. In case there's a person on this call who is blind, I would normally come on the call to say, hello, everyone, my name is Adenike. This evening, I'm wearing like a kente blue, largely blue outfit, and I'm seated. I have my hair in Didi and without my earrings. And you describe what you look like physically. I'm wearing a skirt, I'm wearing a trouser, I'm wearing a red pair of shoes. It is inclusive. Yeah, it's part of inclusion, and we must start to take cognizance of these realities. So I can see some hands are up. Um, you will please forgive me. I know there was a young lady who spoke. Okay, Mariam. Okay, I can see her name. Now, I just wanted to be sure. Okay, I can see some hands up. I would really, really love if we can please unmute them so that we can take it in turns and hear what your honest opinions are, whether it's your reality as well, when it comes to 2 barriers each, according to you. You let us know your name and then the category or group of persons that you are trying to give answers to, the barriers that they face. Please, let's get started because of time.
Additional, I see you have been unmuted. You can speak now.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Adeshola Odunlade. I'm speaking from Osun State. I'll be talking about the youth.
Okay.
For me, 2 barriers that impeding the participation of youth. One is self-inflicted, and it's ignorance.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is that the youth of this day give their attention, give their focus and their mind to frivolities more than things that are necessary for national development. The truth is that the category of youth as stated by you, 18 to 35, if we take a study today, you have more people more interested in other things than the issues that we're discussing here. The few that are interested in politics, governance, national development have their focus dwarfed by ignorance, in the sense that what they are supposed to know, they do not know. I'm sorry if I can just say this. Someone made a joke recently that a set of youth were clamoring for a particular candidate who has gone into the coalition, that he and his deputy should be retained. And then that's the only reason they can support the coalition. An ideal person will know that that's impossible, because things have to be shared based on the people coming together for the to participate in the coalition. So for me, I believe lack of focus and ignorance on one part, then the other one is lack of finance. In most cases, the youth in that category don't have the finance to participate in politics. That's just the truth.
Finance. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesola. Okay, next person, please.
All right, Adini, you have asked you to unmute.
All right. Good evening,
I
everyone.
want women. Oh, I should have said that. I like women to participate. Please go ahead, Mr. Adeni.
Okay, good evening. Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening.
My name is Oyeni Adeni Oluwaseun. I'm from Kwara State.
Okay.
So one of the things I think
what group are you addressing? Youth,
okay,
PWDs, or women?
youths.
Okay.
I'm going to be addressing youth. One thing I think it's impeding youth participation in politics is a mentorship.
Okay.
Because you know, there has been this debate of not too young to rule. The youth should take over this one and that one. But I came to realize that a lot of these youths, we still have, though we might say, okay, these old people, they are dominating us, this one and that one. But even we have our own loopholes, number one. And number two is that we should also submit to mentorship. There are a lot, for us to take power from these people, we need to learn from them, because they've been in this system and they need to mentor us. There are some things they might be doing that we might not like. Okay, when we get there, we can correct some things, but we also need to learn the rudiments of how politics is being played. And I also think our leaders too should also factor in mentorship and also fellowship into their policy. This can help us to build the youth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's see Jack on the leaders. Okay, so we need persons to take women, 2 people to tell us what the barriers are for women. And I don't think I got his second point, but women and then PWDs. Very quickly.
All right, I don't see any female on the call, but I'm going
It's okay,
to
it's
call the
okay.
next
Please go ahead. You see, those are the issues, but please go ahead. Don't worry.
Nelson, you can speak.
All right, good evening. My name is Pastor Nelson Chukwuebuka from Abia State, and I'll be speaking in respect of the disability that affects women, and though some are natural and others, I would say, societal. The 2 disabilities that I feel that limits women are...
You mean barriers, not disability, the 2 barriers.
Sorry.
Okay.
The 2 barriers.
What you say? Your name is Mr. Nelson.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I will point them to be functionality and seclusion. Explaining briefly, functionality. Naturally and otherwise, men can go extra mile than the women. For instance, in the office where I work, we could see men walking into the night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and nobody is disturbing their peace. And but on the side of the women, they could get exhausted. It's natural, and that draws to the second point, the seclusion. They do not have that, their privacy. There's always need to come back home. The married ones, they need to come and take care of the kids. Most often in the afternoon, they have to go pick the kids. So they do not have time of their own. But men can have it all and then move on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Okay.
All right.
Next person
So
for women. Next person to give 2 points that you believe are barriers impeding women's participation in politics.
okay, Precious, I've asked you to unmute. You can ask your question now.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm speaking on PWD,
Okay.
people with disabilities and impairments. I've noticed that there are no there are lots of stuff that they've not made provisions for concerning those people. For example, people on wheelchair, you go to some buildings and you just see only staircase. How are they supposed to get to the top of the building? There's no adequate infrastructure. And in schools, some schools, they don't pay attention to people with disabilities and impairments, like people that have visual impairments and the rest of them like that. So they will not be able to
Poor
function.
planning. Okay. What's the
Yes.
second point?
And my second point is no should I say empowerment, like to encourage them and mentor them into any vision or plans that they have. So their
Okay.
voice are not heard. They don't seek their opinion
Okay.
regarding national issues and how they can be included in some things that they want to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Precious. So finally, we have youth, women, but we had only one persons. I need 2 people, one person to talk about 2 barriers that impede women's participation in politics, and another person to talk about 2 barriers that affect persons with disability. Let's go, guys.
Okay. Faisal, I've asked you to unmute.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, I can hear you.
Hi.
Good evening, Mr.
Okay,
Mohammed.
good evening, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mohammed Faisal Abdullahi. I'm from Bauchi State.
Okay.
So the 2 barriers that I believe that women try to avoid or that exclude women in politics, it's social belief and
Okay.
fear of violence. So from where I'm from, it's another Nigeria. So like they see politics to be a man affair. So we have this mindset that right from young, a girl is being raised, like she belongs to the kitchen. So she's not being raised for leadership responsibility. So leadership is not her part, but rather kitchen happens to be her part. So we northerners see women going into politics as a taboo, like it's a disrespect and it's against the tradition. Though in Islam allow women to lead, but culturally, the parties of the north try as much as possible to block them by entering into the politics. A woman belongs to the kitchen, or family woman, so she is not supposed to join political movement and what have you. Then the other one is that fear of violence and intimidation, because the politics here at times it's highly rough. There is element of thuggery and what have you. So women cannot face this kind of campaign threat and fight or harassment. So they try to avoid politics because she cannot withstand the insults or the public shaming and attacks. So basically the bullying compared to the men. Men can't withstand it. So the women try as much as possible to avoid it, because to me, I don't know if they are fragile or what have you. So these are the barriers that exclude women in politics from where I am from. So it's the cultural belief and the fear of intimidation and violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I saw someone write, I've been raising my hands in the comments. Okay, so we need one more person to talk about 2 barriers you believe impede PWDs from participation in politics.
Okay. Ajib Bola, I've asked you to unmute.
Okay, hi, good evening, madam. Good evening, House. So for me, I would say, well, I know you've asked for two, but I think there are actually three. One is societal, one is stereotypical, and one has to do with how would I say, training. And I want to even give you a live example. I had friends that were contested for were trying to contest for party tickets in PDP and some other parties. And when it means societal, societal in the sense that in our society, women have been looked at as people that the gender for women, they don't see women as real political figures. People just look at women as people that are more of soft skill kind of people, kitchen, soft office job. They don't see
This network, we've lost the connection there. Oh, okay, he's
So,
sending a chat. Yes. Okay.
let's just take
I, I, be- I believe he mentioned, I wrote down the 3 points he said. He said societal barriers, stereotypical barriers, as well as training. Mariam, is it possible for him to wrap up? So especially with the training, I would like to really hear what his stake is.
okay, if it's back online, let me check.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I said societal, like if in fact everyone has said that the society views women as soft skill. When it comes to stereotypical, that also is also part of society. People just generally look at women as people that certain kind of jobs women don't do. Things like football, things like politics, because politics is a high contact sport. When it comes to training in the sense that politics itself is not just there's an art to politics, there's a science to politics in terms of one being able to withstand the game, being able to understand even the political issues. So a lot of people just enter into politics, but they don't even know things about their constituents, what the needs are, and because women primarily have not been what's it called, have not participated in politics long enough compared to the men, they may not understand some of the intrigues of running political office. So usually most people that you see in politics are either women, are either people that maybe their dads were politics or they had husbands or someone, but there needs to be training, and a lot is being done about this. I know that there's
That
a
is
new
actually
program called,
so stereotypical, actually.
which
That's
one?
presumptuous. It's presumptuous to think that most, because you used most. I was hoping you would not qualify it with an adjective. So
No,
the
no, no,
fact,
no, no. The thing is that what I'm saying is that, like, for example, now if you look at, you mentioned someone ORODE. I know that had one of our relatives that, but I'm saying that most people that break into that space usually have someone, right, that already is in that line and is pushing for them. So it's rare to see someone that's just coming. I don't know if you understand me. Someone that's just coming fresh into the space just like that, without having someone that is pushing for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So,
I hear
but,
you. I will stop
but
you if
then,
I hear you. Don't worry, don't
okay,
worry,
no,
don't bother, don't bother, don't worry. Don't worry, because of time. Yeah, because of time. I know I saw someone here. Okay, Mariam, can you please unmute Abiodun Adebesi? And I'm hoping that you can, speak as quickly as possible because we've run out of time. Your comment caught my attention. You said that you're a PWD and you will be in a good position to also speak. Please go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Abiodun Adeni Adebeshi. I am a member of the National Association of Physically Challenged in Nigeria.
Okay.
And I am also a disabled advocate. When we are talking about barriers that affect persons with disability, let's take number one, physical and infrastructural barrier. When it comes to election period, polling booths mostly are located where it is not accessible to persons with disability. The door to the place is not made to comply with persons with disability. There is no sign languages for visually impaired person, and there is no braille for the blind. And also person that are on a wheelchair, mostly they cannot access most of the polling booth. Let us talk about the second one is additional barrier.
Okay.
Most people with disability undergo stigma and discrimination. Some people will look at a person with disability, they will not think about his intellectual ability. They'll be looking at his physical ability. They will say, can you do it? Will you be able to run for that position? Did you have the capacity to run the position? With your situation allow you to take part in such position? These are some of the barriers that are faced by persons with disability. Because of our time, I will stop here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to every single person who contributed. I really love to take notes. From Adesola to Adeniyi to Mr. Nelson to Mr. Mohammed Faisal to Ms. Precious, the only woman who spoke, to Mr. Jibola, and finally Mr. Biodun. Everyone has spoken well. And if you remember very well, one of the things I said at the onset was that there are no wrong answers, if I would speak very realistically. If we look at the figures, just this afternoon, I sat with AI, and I decided that I was going to just check generally about, women in politics globally, in the European Union, in Nigeria. Okay, is it possible for me to please ask you to give me 1 minute? I need to find out what's going on in my cap. Thank you.
Sure, no problem, ma.
Okay, so I'm back. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so I had mentioned earlier that everyone was going to give most likely experiential responses because save for the last contributor, Mr. Biodun, you will see that if we did, go inside, many people will say, oh, I know someone, I know this, I know that, or I have observed. And I remember very well Ajibola. I tackled Ajibola because I realized as personally, I believe as a people, we have a numbers issue. When we start to use adjectives to qualify certain things, I would normally just pause. When you start to say things like most of, so I begin to ask, if you know 5 women in politics, personally, and you know 15 women in politics indirectly, that's just 20. If there are 20,000 women in politics, you would agree with me that your circle of reach is not strong enough for you to say, oh, most women in politics have husbands who are their bankrollers. Do you understand? So most times when I find myself in positions like that, what I would normally say is, in my opinion, the women I have experienced, I have encountered, or I know, a larger number of them are this. I'm sure that we understand what I'm saying because we truly do have a numbers issue. Now, when I was saying earlier that I did a quick run through on what's it called, on Gemini, and when you check it, nothing that we have said in the class this evening differs from what it is we found. If you can please scroll on to the barriers, you will see that one of the biggest thing that we, all of us have agreed on is, in one way or the other, we've spoken about financing, especially when it comes to the youths. We've spoken extensively. Whether you are doing 18 to 24 or you are doing 18 to 35, how many of these individuals, one, can afford what's it called? Can afford numbers for the political party nomination forms. Thank you. Now, if you can even afford the nomination forms, how many people can afford the rigors of electioneering? Again, we have a numbers issue. I did watch a podcast and some figures were being thrown around about how much it cost to run for Senate. And my mouth was, even though, again, we don't have the quantifiable and realistic, like an agency or a body that has the raw statistics, right? But we agree that financing is a major, major challenge when it comes to youth participation in politics in Nigeria. I love the point about mentorship. I love the point that he made, Mr. Adesola's first point about ignorance. And he said self-inflicted. I wanted to jump, I wanted to leap for joy. You know why? You are either on one side or you are on the other side. And I normally will use the US as my go-to because now the world sees how broken the system is. And I'm musing to a person like me, honestly speaking. It is so broken that you would walk on the streets and probably do a vox pop and ask people why they are voting for certain people. The reasons differ. And they should, because of political influence, religious belief, personal opinions, all of these factors add up to why you would decide to pitch your tent with one political party or with one candidate, as the case is. But living in ignorance, especially for those who now start to dole out, when he was in this, for instance, in the Peter Obi conversation, I remember one of the first times, so when he was this, he didn't collect this gift. Then some people leaked some documents, he did this. It is always, so the problem is we cannot afford to give ignorance a stronghold. So ignorance is a major, major challenge when it comes to youth and youth involvement in politics. And this is why what Electoral College is doing now is very, 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 very key. Financing is equally absolutely a huge barrier when it comes to youth participation. Trust, then mentorship. I love the fact that Ms. Adine talked about mentorship programs. And one thing that really hit me was this Latif Jakonde Leadership Academy in Lagos. It was started a few years ago, but had been given some fervency under this administration. And it's very simple, just 30 fellows in an entire stretch of 1 year. And they go through some rigorous, what's it called? Rigorous grilling and drilling, and through that 1 year, they are moved from different ministries, agencies, they have leadership trainings. And I see it as such an amazing opportunity for anyone who is serious to get in, whether into politics, whether into governance, into whatever area that the individual desires that they want to get into. Very, very, very key factor, as the case is. Then the other point is for youth engagement or youth involvement, I beg your pardon, in politics, ladies and gentlemen, trust. And this cuts across all board. See, if you know how the system runs, you will know that there's a part of gratification to say, oh, you helped me, you did this, tick. And don't be deceived. It is a global phenomenon. Yes, at least now you can see it from the US, the almighty US, who keeps pointing fingers. They still pointed finger at us last week. And Nigeria, I said, shut up and look at your house. Your house is burning. The reality of how politicking globally is defective. And is why those who are against the structure of democracy as we know it are saying democracy must be altered. Those on the other side are saying, look at Rwanda, for instance, who claims that it's a democracy, and Kagame has been there for so long. The question is, have they really healed, or would we find out after he leaves office? Nobody knows, and nobody really wants to know, because the devastation of the war, in the Rwanda between the Hutsis and the Tutsis was just devastating. So again, the issue of trust, the issue of gratification, the issue of godfatherism, these are issues that are global in nature. And I want you to understand that it just plays out differently from clime to clime, from the UK to the US. However, in places like the Scandinavian countries, where it seems like things are a little orderly, yes, they're not perfect, but if you start to look at places like Switzerland, Netherlands, Iceland, Finland, their politicking, their quality of life, almost everything completely changes, inclusive of their youth participation. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of, all the women that have, held position in how many years in the EU or Scandinavian countries. They were young, but it still doesn't mean that they're devoid of scandals and all the, global issues that plague politics all around. Now, another barrier for youth involvement, again, like I said, is sponsorship, and it's very, very important in our own climate. You can't wake up one day and say you want to become a counselor. It is impossible. You cannot. You must have started to lay the foundation somehow. You must have started to do it. And then the foundation plays out differently for everyone. When Mr. Jubala was talking about women who have a leg hold inside the room because of family, we all completely understand that narrative, because it is what it is. It is really what it is. For another point again is esteem for the youth. We cannot shy away from access to education. Jeez, one of our biggest challenges, and is why when Mr. Mohammed Faisal was talking, he kept saying, from the part of the country where I am from, he was very clear. He mentioned belief, mentioned fear of violence, and then mentioned elements of culture, elements of thuggery, when he was talking about the barriers that impede the participation, increased participation of women in politics from the north, right? So when I look at access to education, education is important, the four walls of schools, yes. But guess what? There's a different type of education that also exists. And that kind of the different type of education that also exists is very, very important as well when we talk about this thing. And also from that part of the country, unfortunately, across with the other parts, if I'm being honest, weaponization of poverty is overwhelming, overwhelming. Tokenism is also a huge problem with politicking. And tokenism is when we see, so we have employed this number of persons with disability just because. On our board, we have this number of women just because. A completely different construct. Completely different construct, right? So yeah, these are some of the areas. For women, I will speak, generally and specifically, and just quickly run through the points that have come through from the contributors, from societal barriers to even stereotypical barriers, which I agree. Going to the points that both Mr. Jibola and Mr. Faisal mentioned, there's a construct. A woman's place is here, a woman's place is there, a woman's place is this, a woman's place is that. We cannot overemphasize how these things are barriers that must be tackled, and we must address them head on. When you look at politics, one of the things that I did a quick research on this afternoon was women in politics in the EU. One of the first sentence says, women in politics in the EU have made significant progress, but significant disparities and challenges do remain. From their parliaments, the countries. What did I say about European and Scandinavian countries? See, national parliament. Women hold approximately 33.4% of seats in national parliaments across the EU. This is an increase. Sweden leads by 45.6, Finland 45.5, Denmark 44.7. They have the highest shares of women representatives. The lowest shares, we don't want to talk about us, but because we are sticking with Europe, European Union, Cyprus, Hungary, and Romania. At the national government level as well, Women have held about 35.1% across, and this is as far back as close, I beg your pardon, as 2024. Finland is at 60%. Imagine that. Belgium is at 55, Estonia is 50, France is 50. And the European Union, the percentage of female MPs rose consistently after each election, and it has reaching 41% following an election that happened in 2019. The figure stood at 39.9 at the beginning of 2024, which is above the world average. But some countries like Luxembourg, Finland, and Sweden have a majority of women MPs. If you go and check those countries, right? My sister lives in Luxembourg with her husband. The quality of life is impeccable. Their standard of living out of this world. Education is impressive. So there has to be something. There has to be something. When you come and you do a quick search, across Africa, the first sentence says, women's participation in politics across Africa is a complex and evolving landscape marked by both notable progress and persistent challenges. While there has been an increase in women holding political positions, achieving true gender parity and ensuring meaningful impact remains a significant undertaking. If you check what gender parity countries that have the highest gender parity figures, you will be amazed. And when you talk about gender parity, simply it's just that thing we talked about, equality and equity earlier. A woman is qualified as is the man. What do they earn? Baseline. Super Falcons, Super Eagles. Let's start from there. NBA, WNBA. I think it was last month, the WNBA players came out for a game, and on their t-shirts, they wrote, pay us what you owe. So the disparity is still there. Now, according to the Global Gender Gap Report of 2024, countries that have been consistent in their ranking in gender parity: Iceland, Finland, Norway, New Zealand, and Sweden. So there are countries that will be going back and forth on it. But it's important to know that while these countries are leading, no country has achieved full gender parity yet. And the question is, will there be any country able to achieve gender parity? When you look at politics in Lagos, or you look at politics at the National Assembly in Nigeria, the first introductory line says, the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, unfortunately, did see a decline in representation of women in political office. It's continuing a worrying trend that has been observed since 2011. So representation, as we speak today, women only have a 2.703% representation at the Senate. And before, they used to be, I think, yes, the last time it was another assembly, there were 8 women, and that's been the highest Nigeria has seen so far, by the way. House of Representatives that has 306 seats, there are between 16 to 17 women, or 16 to 17 women, and it's bad. The state houses of assembly, I beg your pardon, no woman was elected in 15 out of Nigeria's 36 state houses of assembly. I will take that again. No woman was elected in 15 of the 36 state houses of assembly. No female governor. Only one female candidate, vice president or vice presidential candidate. Only one person. And the challenges remain. Patriarchy is a man's world. It's only men that do this. It's only these cultural beliefs. I remember that Mr. Faisal made mention of the Quran also allows women to lead. But guess what? Culture. Yeah. Religion. Religion plays a huge role, especially for Christians. And Christians that don't read the Bible and misconstrue the don't sit down to contextually read, women must not speak in church. That's not what happens. When you study your Bible, you understand that there was always a context within which Paul wrote, and he was addressing a particular group of people because of the peculiarity in that space. Women were huge funders of Jesus's ministry. Read your Bible. You would see it there. Huge funders. So lack of resources, funding, political party gatekeeping, violence. When Mr. Faisal said, he said elements of thuggery and he said fear of violence, I say, okay, we understand. And the laws as well, discriminatory. Don't forget, vote buying is also a major thing. And then low candidacy, interest. Interest will tie very easily to Mr. Adesola's point of ignorance, which I love how he said it. Self-inflicted. Self-inflicted. Financing would always be a problem. Discrimination and marginalization. Lack of support from other women. Women supporting women. And I'm going to segue from this discrimination and marginalization and then, land on the points that Mr. Abiodun made, especially because Mr. Abiodun, like myself, physical, I don't know if I said that okay, I did, but I didn't say the type of disability that I live with. I have a right leg above knee amputation, meaning I have one leg, long story short. Yes. So physical disability is what it is that, is the reality. And I could understand the whole issue about the physical and infrastructural barriers. He mentioned specifically polling units. And I know that personally, I have tackled INEC on it. And their reason is very simple. The government is not going to build new places, so the government will use existing schools, hospitals, schools, open field, so that they can get access. Because by the time we say let's start building small places now, you hear $13.6 billion again. So that's what the challenge is right now. And unfortunately, because of thuggery, sometimes I find out that they make it so not easily accessible in case anybody wants to come and japa with the polling booth. So the issues are just multi-layered. With INEC, I have observed a few general elections, and I know very well that things like magnifying glasses have been provided, umbrellas, but no, I haven't seen a sign language interpreter at any polling unit, unfortunately. And there's such a large number, I beg your pardon, of PWDs who can vote and are eligible to be voted for. So the question of institutionally exempting these categories of individuals will continue to be rife until first and foremost we understand that firstly, and it might sound very, no, my religion says the husband is the head of the family. I'm not disputing that. I'm simply saying that in the boardroom, in politics, are we going to talk about equity? Is this the time where we speak about equity when it comes to youths, women, and persons with disabilities? There are many persons with disabilities who have sense, who can vote, and who can be voted for, right? Don't also forget that when we talk about what we can do as a people, this exercise is why I would always give my resources. And by that, in this context, I mean my time. I would always give my time into ensuring that I'm a part of this, because the education is continuous and the education must go on. I see the comment from Mota, INEC, and the ad hoc staff. Now, the beauty about it is, towards an election, we are clear on the staff that we want to use for that election. But if you sit down and think about it, you realize that it's costing us too much. Every election cycle, we're training a new batch of people. And yes, there are permanent INEC officials who must do that retraining, but the turnover of the number of ad hoc staff is also a huge problem for us. So maybe it's time for us to say, if you live within a particular geographical location and you are going to be here for, you've been here for, or you are going to be bound for, if only the economics of the nation was that certain, people would not easily say, if I get an opportunity to relocate today, I'm going. We will now say that every election cycle for the next 2 cycles, you will do this, do that, do this, be responsible for this, blah, blah, blah. So we know that in an 8-year window, we know the people who are volunteers, but not given room for excuses. It also presupposes that at every cycle for election, the staff must be trained. Now, guess what? The people who are trained and refuse to be trained. Why? Because education takes time. It's why those of us in this classroom today must become the advocates for these categories of people. You see a person with disability, the next time there is an election, you will say, please go forward. People have been under the sun. You task them, can't you see this person is a PWD? This person is priority. Can't you see this woman is pregnant? She's priority. Can't you see this person is elderly? This person is priority. Please go forward. We must become the custodians of this assignment, every single one of us. And I would often tell people that with disability, not to scare you, but disability is someone wakes up, closes their eye, boom, they've lost their sight. That's it. And they become a person with disability. They become a person with disability. I know whilst we were speaking some time back, someone dropped disability is, it believes that disability is a mindset thing. Yes and no. Yes, because every person with disability must first and foremost triumph over that disability mentally for them to physically triumph. No, because for many people, the nature of the condition they live with has nothing to do with their psyche. So the answer, the comment you have dropped is not wrong at all. That is why we must continue to make ourselves aware. Ignorance is not an excuse in every aspect of life. Before, we used to say ignorance of the law, but I dare say ignorance of even disability and disability concerns. Oh, I didn't know that if I continue to watch TV this closely, it will damage my eye. Oh, I didn't know that because it said I had cataract, if I didn't take it, I will lose my sight. Oh, I didn't know that, hey, this glaucoma that my mother said she had, oh, we should have operated, now she's blind. There is no, you pay dearly for ignorance. Oh, I didn't know that because I was high, I shouldn't have driven. Now, I've caused accident. Somebody is dead. Somebody has spinal cord injury. Somebody is now in a wheelchair. Ignorance is not an excuse for many things, including disability or inclusion. So, ladies and gentlemen, the conversation is never ending. And I remember that one of the first few sentences I started this class with is trying to define what disability is. And I said disability is complex, which is why even the subject matter of inclusion is complex. But what can we do? We can actually start to do a few things. Please, can you move the slide? I know that there are some points that I, mentioned about way forward. Polling units and ballot boxes must be accessible to PWDs. Mr. Abiodun did not know that I already had this in my slides. Use of sign language interpreters in all matters about electioneering activities is very important. He mentioned Braille. Braille is so key. But guess what? To buy a Braille machine today, as I speak to you, is over fairly used, brand new. It depends on the one you want. I can get a very clean one for between 4 to 5 million, or a brand new one for over 10 million. Yeah. Affirmative action, very important. It is insufficient to say, oh, I am going to, the federal government is, the local government has, the state government did, it must be backed with action. And then I learned something a few years ago called inclusion budgeting. Inclusion budgeting is very important. It means that for every ministry, department, agency, company, course, program, project, we must ensure that we have, in government parlance, they call it line. We must have a line for inclusion. We must have a line for inclusion. Somebody said something that caught my attention. Miss Precious said, poor planning, infrastructure. And she said empowerment, encouraging them, mentorship. Guess what, Miss Precious? Nobody's going to encourage anyone. Nobody gives power freely. Go and ask Vladimir Putin how that is going. Bashar al-Assad, for instance, is still on the run. So nobody gives power freely. A demand must be placed on power. Is why the encouragements we need are classes of this nature, engagements like this. So we can sit down, fine tune, how do I do this? What do I do? How do I make this? Who do I speak to? Yeah. Volunteer. Volunteer with political party. See, you might never get a political party that sticks ideally with your principles or your values. You may never get that one. Let's be honest with ourselves. Because the likelihood of being far extremes is so probable. But you must know what your non-negotiables are. Volunteer. Look for non-profits that, that work with PWDs, election. Volunteer. Observe. Provide your service. Collect information. Let's see how we can get data. Nigeria is the people who are making it, what's it called? Work are trying in their own way to make it work. Nobody has ever given power freely. Yes, so Odofin C.G. Stephen just wrote it. Nobody. Take your time and sit down. You want to start from the Bible? Go and ask Simon and Samuel and Saul. Please ask them how that went. Nebuchadnezzar. Power is sweet. Don't be deceived. Very, very sweet. So I need us to understand these realities and understand categorically that we must do targeted strategic we must change our scope. We must change our scope of engagement. We must change our scope of engagement. Inclusion budgeting is very important. We must put our money where our mouth is. Every single one of us. You may not have all the money in the world, but hey, the fact that you are bringing it up. You know the way they do politics abroad, call your this, donate money to this, do this. Corruption is still working there. Are you even not following American news? America is not like a jungle. Right before our eyes. Do you understand? So it means that everybody, even where people are running to, they get their own for body. So we must find a way to, one, make it work. People go and come back because why? They want the passport, which is understandable. Because it opens them up to different possibilities of world. In the list, world travel. Rankings just came out. In fact, I forgot to check Nigeria's ranking. Ranking just came out. Global ranking for passports. America dropped 10%. Almighty America. Yes. Go and check the countries that made top 5. If it's not Singapore, it's Japan. Because the world is moving. They are playing catch up as well. So it is time for us to see that politicking has to change. It has to change. It has to change in scope. It has to change in practice. It has to change in applicability. It has to change in practicality. It also has to change in expectations. Because even we are people are the ones that do not allow for the inclusion of these categories of people. Yes, if we start to check it now, how many of you have some, can a woman handle it? Little, subtle, passive-aggressive perception, mindsets. Like Mr. Abiodun was saying, they see a person with disability and they're not bothered about the intellect first. You see a person with cerebral palsy, you're not even bothered about it. Yeah, this person. Many people with cerebral palsy, which happens to be a muscular disability, have smart, sharp intellect. Stephen Hawking was popular, the great scientist. Lost speech, lost everything, but was phenomenal in his head. So, ladies and gentlemen, the conversation must continue. And I always implore the classes that I take to please continue in this stead. It might seem insignificant what it is you are doing, but what Electoral College has been able to do is to get people with experience, and you cannot buy it in a textbook. No matter what we write in textbook, I have slides. I've been working with these slides for so long. Guess what? Every single time there's time to talk about something, there's always so much more first, because there's something that happens when you gather people who you are certain can pour, teach, inform, educate. With these many words of mine, as you can see, my sons have been crying back and forth. But yeah, they're being handled. I just wanted to be sure. But my mind, I'm trying to put my mind that they're okay. They're okay. I believe that I have done what I believe I should do with the class. And I know that we have some minutes. But the danger is, if I open, okay, you know what? I'm going to ask for questions first three, I'm going to ask questions. Lucy and Zainab, you people are dropping comment. Hey, talk in the class. Talk. I'm a woman in a political space. I promise you, I see it, Oha. Women, it's time for us to speak up. In fact, somebody made some points. Mr. Nelson, functionality. I remember now. And he was talking, I was just smiling. You know why? I see my colleagues, my male colleagues, just one call. That's how the kids are. But if you see me sitting down and studying in my house, there's a nanny around. My husband is around. But I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Why? Because we also get ourselves to the point where if you're not careful, you have to snatch it. They will be okay. Yes, your husband will be well if you don't cook that food that day. It's the men who are able to have the meetings at midnight. Someone dropped a comment that women don't get the trust and support of their husbands. Why? Why are you married to an insecure man in the first instance? Why are you married to a man who is threatened about the likelihood that if she becomes governor, she might start to sleep around? If he easy to sleep around to ascend, go tell your sister, make it sleep around. Your eye go see, say, oh, mo, you know it's you. If easy, run am. It's the truth. You have no business marrying insecure men. And it's one of the biggest decisions you will make in your entire life. It will either kill you or it will make you fly. Marry a man, yes, today, who will say, okay, let's sit down and table it. Let us table it. You need 4 years. I have done this, I have done this. Okay, run. I'll continue to manage this business somewhere, but I'll be more available at home. Who cares what the people will say? Who cares what society says? You are a family. You have your goals, your dreams, your values. Write it down. Run with it. The world is talking, whether or not you stay back. Even as a stay-at-home, I have a friend who is a stay-at-home dad. They sat down and they looked at it and said, oh, mom, if we don't stay at home, that's it. For those people who even live abroad, it's even more complex because they care. They're spending over $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on one child in 1 month on daycare. And your husband is working from home. And it cannot be the daycare. But you will not kill yourself. You stress yourself. You have high blood pressure. Your cholesterol is high. Your shaking can. Wow. Again, you have no business getting married to an insecure man. You must marry a man who will say, you want to fly. How high? How high? Not everything is man and woman. They're sleeping together. Somebody walk up to you and say, I saw your wife. Hey, are you serious? Even if she didn't tell you she was having that meeting. Oh, interesting. Yes, yeah, I know. But no, I'm expecting her. When you reach out, babe, what's happened? You don't tell me, don't be angry. It was impromptu. Because that is the nature of politics and government. That is the nature. If you look at women who have been dragged, what did they do? What did Desiani do that has not been done and is not still being done? What exactly? Let's talk about it. But it's often easy because they are often Kemi Adeosun, who remembers the drama with Kemi Adeosun? Take your time, and look at all the women in the last maybe 10 years. Look at it. There is nothing. And it's not the better of evil. It is just what it is. They say politics is dirty. I'll tell you, all over the world. All over the world. Are you seeing what the US president is doing? Defying laws. Age-long rules. Why? Self. Simple. So you see that, imagine for a second that Kamala Harris tried any of these things. A quarter of what it is that Donald Trump is doing. Just a quarter. Just a quarter. Today you wake up is having a tantrum. Tomorrow it is insane. And then the world says, oh, when women lead, they are very emotive. Excuse me. Go and check those countries I mentioned for you. Go and look at it in your spare time. The Scandinavian countries. Go and check. You heard me call out the numbers. Over 50% of MPs, females. Go and check how well they are doing. They are excelling exponentially. We've been doing the same thing over and over again as Nigerians. When would we wake up to say, just maybe we should try it? Let's maybe give it room to try something else. Someone said something about people, and I want to touch on that before I end. You see, expectations. Yeah, I remember, and it was me that said it. There's an expectation from everyone. Once you're in politics, boom, everybody and their families, financial, medical, psychological, spiritual issues you must resolve. You must, is a necessity, because if you don't, when it's time to run again, what did you do? Meanwhile, the bulk of the policying, it takes a back seat because they didn't get ratified financially, personally. It is what it is. So the system is poised to run like this, poised to run like this, poised to run like this. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let me take a few questions so that we can wrap up. Zainab, Moriam, please, can you unmute Zainab? I want us to be, please don't make commentary. Go straight to your questions. No contributions for now, just questions so that we can wrap up. Thank you.
You said no contribution, but I must commend you. This is one of my best webinar because this is something that I'm passionate about. I'm a gender and inclusion advocate from Northern Nigeria. So my two questions are, first of all, regarding the special seats, right? The affirmative action. Me, I don't even, first of all, I don't even feel like they need to bring up special seats or new seats. Why wouldn't they, from the 360 seats in the House of Reps, why wouldn't they remove like 60 and say, okay, this one is for women or this one is for persons with disability? Why do they need to create new seats? That's the first one.
Okay,
And
create
even
new
the seats,
seats. Okay.
yes, and even the seats that they are talking about, the affirmative action, the focus is more on women. I don't hear them specifying persons with disability in the seats. That's the first one. Then the second one is with regards, they say women support women. Me, I believe that women support women because
Have supported
in
me
my
the
life,
most. The most.
exactly. In my life, it has been women that has been supporting me all through. So me, I believe in this notion, ma. I also wanted you, initially you talked about Nigerians having a problem with numbers, and it was something that I was really, really interested in hearing you talk about it, and I didn't really hear you. The network shifted a little bit.
Oh my.
So please, I want to talk about it. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
You're welcome. So let me quickly talk on the numbers. So what I was saying is we are very easily susceptible to adjectifying our descriptions. Give case in point, you hear all Nigerian men has come. All I know it was Ajibola, yeah, I remember, that said that I think he said something about most women who are in politics have family backing. I'm like, I can't even remember if he said family or husband. I can't remember what he said. And I'm like, Then I painted a picture. For instance, if I know 5 women in the Lagos state political scene, and I know 5 in maybe in the Southwest, I know another 5 in all the geopolitical zones, we have 6, right? So I know 30 females altogether. Then I'm speaking on this platform and I say, most women in politics in Nigeria are this. That is disproportionate, and that is just an unfair representation because I know only 30. How many women by numbering are in the Nigerian political space that I will be able to say of the 30 that I know of all of them, I will now quantify to say most. So we often have a problem with figures. We have a problem with numbering. We have a problem with giving data. We have a problem with most, all. By the way, so that's why that subject in secondary school they used to teach us. I can't remember what it is. How did they put it on? All those quarterly, bi-yearly, biannually, we must learn to pause, take a deep breath before you say it, especially on social media. I say it all the time. I'm like, okay, what is the statistics for this? Where did this person get this data from? So that's what I was referencing. Affirmative action. I don't believe in creating new seats, and this is also personal. However, I believe that many factors must come into play if truly we want women to adequately occupy the 360, part of them. There was a time we used to pick women for tokenism, but take a good look at the top 10 women around you who are doing well professionally. Be very, very objective in your analysis. And if you have information, your previous information, I want you to do a side-by-side comparison with their spouses. Which one of them has a higher earning power? Which one of them is higher educated? Which one start to do it? Just do it like that. There are women who are qualified and can give, even politically. So I believe that several factors must also come into place for women to occupy of the 360 House of Representatives that we have. I hope that helps. Let me look for another woman here. Is there another woman here, Moriam?
Yeah, I see Blessing. I don't know.
Okay.
I think she's a woman. Let's
Amen.
try. Okay, Blessing, I've asked you to unmute.
I'm a man. I'm not a woman. I'm a man.
Mr.
Sorry.
Blessing, I don't
Sorry
want
about that.
if there is no other woman, Mr. Blessing, please go ahead very quickly.
Yeah, thank you. My question is this. Based on the fact that our perception on low participation of women in politics, and I still want to ask if there is a possibility meet on how the policy or the constitution can be adjusted for the female participation in politics. For example, if there is a policy we did in our school days then that we adjusted the constitution, if any electoral office is going to take place, if the president is being elected as man, it is a must that their vice or deputy must be a female.
That must be a woman. Well, maybe a woman because it's no longer must. I used to say must too, but now I'm seeing a lot of male, not,
So with that kind of policy, I believe there might be a large turnout.
I agree with you. So let me quickly address it. I agree
The
with you.
network
I
is
also believe that it takes leadership to push political will out. What do I mean? President stands up and says, maybe a Federal Executive Council meeting, and mandates all the ministries, departments, and agencies. Say, I need you to ensure that you have this percentile of women in all your boards, in all your this, and they must be qualified. Go get to it. Let your screening process start. Let's get women into the system. I promise you that we'll see a difference. I promise you. Ajibala, you have a perception. I have no intention whatsoever to convince you otherwise. Not one. The psychology of it is what you are sticking with and is perfectly fine. However, it's defective in the fact that you cannot say that of the 30 women I have created a picture of, all of them have family backing. No, I don't have family backing. How about that? And I'm in politics. What do you want to say about that? So you need to calm down about your perception. Your perception is not the overall reality. And it doesn't mean that your perception is not a reality. It just means it is not the overall reality. In the US, I go back to the US. Go and read. We have political families from the Cuomos to the Trumps to the Kennedys. It's endless. To the McCains. There are families that have this politics. It is what it is. So I'll give a typical example. My first choice of career wasn't influenced by either of my parents, but my secondary choice was overwhelmingly influenced by my dad. It's why I speak so excellently as a public speaker, because my father introduced me to the world of media. I did radio for years. So you cannot out-talk me. You cannot. I am a lawyer by training. So the reality about it is your perception, your reality, the general picture must be put in place when we start to quantify with adjectives. All Nigerian men are scum. I say my father is not a scum. How about that? So you've examined how many Nigerian men have you experienced? How many? So I don't know if there's another woman on this chat.
I don't think there's any.
Okay. I don't want to take a person who has spoken before. Oh yeah, let me let you pick. Just pick 2 more people.
Okay, let's go with Daniel.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for.
I think he's muted again.
Okay. Daniel, I've asked you to unmute
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, thank you so much for today's presentation. It was a rather very splendid one. However, someone who grew up firsthand with females. You know, my family was wonderful. We had an equal outing of children, males and females. Then the males, we lost one of them. So we had a majority of females. I had a majority of siblings who are female. And I saw them in their struggles. I saw my mom in her struggles. It was
Daniel, are you still there? I think he's having network
front
issues.
row seat. However, I want to put this question to you.
Okay, sir.
Do you view it that women should be given fight for it, qualify for it, will not be easily taken without a fight? Then I just have this quick comment to save your time. I observe that society is run based on nature, human interactions. Now, nature, what informs his brute force is his testosterone quotient. Oh, yeah. So, which women have less of.
Okay.
And in less developed countries, you know, brute force is still expressed, let's say during electioneering, the office or stuff like that. A woman have, let's say, a place like Europe. You cited Europe a lot. I enjoyed that. We had Margaret Thatcher, 82, went to a justified war in the Falklands with Argentina over the Falkland Islands. Forward to 21 years later, we had Tony Blair, a man, went to war, an illegal war over non-existing WMDs. Now, some people still look fondly, ambivalently at Blair, but I have so many people from the 80s and 70s who are working, and they hate Thatcher with passion. So do you see it like it was a guys thing? You know, Blair is one of us, and Thatcher was not one of us, so we'll not forgive her for this. That's a question that I look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. You've taken all the time for the other speakers. So there's something called unconscious bias. And even though I can't sit here to affirmatively determine why those people made those choices, you know, not in favor of Margaret Thatcher, I know that all of us have unconscious bias, every single one of us. And because of that, I never can say that it may not have played a role in their choices. Also, don't forget that this government, as we speak today, is benefiting many people. And as far as they are concerned, Tinubu is the best president Nigeria has ever had. It is an unconscious reality, an unconscious bias, and a reality that they are living with. So many times there are so many factors that we must put in play. So many. You've spoken extensively about the historical part of it. Unfortunately for me, I don't have in-depth knowledge of it. So I cannot say economically which one paid a larger chunk of the populace more than the other. But all that I know psychologically is that we all have unconscious biases, and we always see them come to play, especially when we are not taking note. You talked about level playing field. The problem about it is women have already not been fairly treated. It's like a race. So you tell the man to start on your mark, set, go. You shoot the gun, the flare. Boom. They've gone. They have gone. They've gone long ago. Sorry, is there ever a point, at what point would there be a possibility of a catching up? Not even overtaking and replacing. Because I feel like the conversation is also so nuanced. People think, oh, they are coming to this. Ain't nobody displacing you. By simply saying, that equity, let us see, and let excellence be the determinant, and not nepotism, not tokenism. I am not of the opinion that a woman should be given something because she's female. I know that there are women that should be given because they are qualified. I am very positive. I am one proof. So I would always speak first for myself. It's why the whole notion of creating a diversity equity, that was the basis. And I would very easily take the US, for instance. Blacks, the blacks would always play catch up, always. So the growth that the US thought and believed and faith that they had made all these years, guess what? It took only 6 months. This is, I beg your pardon, I take that back. It's taking 8 months because we're in the 8th month now. Boom. It's like a war zone out there. Americans in America are considering relocating to Nigeria. Yes, you heard me correctly. I know about 2 families that have left. I saw one woman post yesterday. She's gotten a Nigerian passport for her children, and she wrote it jokingly. Everybody better get a plan B. The entire world is looking at Africa, but Africans are looking, let's go, let's leave. So, hey. In the chat, Ma, do you think the masses are doing well in demanding? I do not believe so. And it's why, again, I would dedicate my resources to this kind of discourse, because I know one person makes the whole change. If you're a parent here and you go back and you tell your child, oh, that boy in your class with albinism, never make fun of him. My work is done here. You see an Instagram post, I think Pele was the one that did one last month or 2 months ago, trying to act like he has cerebral palsy. You drop a comment. This is derogatory and discriminatory to persons with disability, especially persons with cerebral palsy. My job is done here. You see a comedian put a skit out there and he's making, in fact, I saw one. He recorded, unbeknownst to them, a dwarf and a boy with albinism. And this boy posted it on Instagram and put caption, 2 ingredients for morning rituals. It is not amusing. It is distasteful. So imagine that one person from this class goes to say, this is just disgusting. My work is done here. So I believe very strongly that the biggest machinery for this inclusion drive is word of mouth and one-on-one. I don't have any arguments to argue with Mr. Jibola, unfortunately. All over the world, the family you are born into plays a huge role, but guess what? There are many people excelling that don't have a pedigree from where they've come from. So what is the argument? What is the argument, really? There is no argument here. I don't have a pedigree. Yeah, it's really what it is. There are women that are doing excellently. There are men doing excellently. So the point really is, there will be me. Seyi Tinubu was born a Tinubu. Would we kill him for being born a Tinubu? No, it's his reality. So when you have opportunity to push your own children up, you can decide to leave them where they are. I always say it. And every time I say it, my husband always laughs. I always say, when you get opportunity, say privilege, opportunity come, and you have the opportunity to push your children up, you can choose not to do it. After all, you wouldn't be the first. Do you understand? It's good to say women love. Oh, okay. I saw that comment, but just move on. Don't waste your energies on so many things. Miss Moriam, I believe my job is done here. Thank you again. Across social media platforms, Miss Lisa is always saying I should. On Twitter at Adenike Oyetunde, on Instagram at Adenike Oyetunde, on Facebook at Adenike Oyetunde. I think someone already sent me a request. I saw it when the class started. Adesola already sent me a request. Thank you so much. I do not take it for granted. Mr. Kunle, so see all of you on the graduation day. We often will join the session as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you so much. I should drop it here. Okay. Let me see if I can type Adenike Oyetunde on Twitter. At Adenike Oyetunde on IG and Facebook. Okay. Sent. There you go. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of the day, and thank you for the opportunity. I have to rush off. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ma. We really appreciate your time, and we are so grateful. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's any announcement, but if there is none, okay, she has left. I don't know if there's any announcement. Didi, Ma.
No, there's none. Hold on.